and make sure sample or layer is checked, because if you not check sample or layer and you just brush, nothing is going to happen, like nothing is going to work. So make sure sample or layer is checked. So once sample or layer is checked, just turn off this your high texture copy. So turn it off and you're going to get a blurry looking image like this. And right now just use a mixer brush to brush on the skin. And if you are brushing, brush your highlight separately and brush your shadow separately. Hello guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Tunde Victor, and in this video we're going to be retouching this outdoor image together. I've not retouched this image before, so I'm just going to retouch this image with you guys, and I'm going to upload it on Instagram and on Facebook so you guys can see. So this image was shot by Albertchime, and I got this image from Dirty Studio website. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'll just come to my exposure. So I'm using Capture One to process this raw file. If you want the Capture One software, check the description below. You're going to see the link. You can download this Capture One software. So first of all, looking at this image, I feel the image is too the highlight of the image is too much. So I'm just going to come to my high dynamic range right here on my exposure tab. And mind you, you can use Capture One, you can use Lightroom, and you can use Camera Raw to do what I'm about to do right now. So just come to your high dynamic range and just see your highlights and just reduce the highlights on the image. So this was the way the image was before, and if I just take my highlights down, you can see I've brought back some details on the background. It was really nice. So these are before and these are after, but you can only do this if you shoot on RAW. If you shoot JPEG, it will be hard for you to regain some overexposed or underexposed pixels or details on your image. So the next thing I'm going to do right now, after bringing my highlights all the way down, I'll just open up my shadow a bit, because I feel the parts of her hair right here that are looking too dark. So I just open up my shadow a little bit like this to add a little bit of light to the shadows. And since I brought down my highlights all the way down, I'll just open up my whites to compensate for some white on the image, because if you see our dress is kind of white, so I'll just take my whites up to add a little bit of shine to the shirts. So after that, I'll just take my blacks in like this, and I'll come down to my levels and I'll just push my blacks in for my levels, and I'll push my whites into my levels to add a little bit of contrast to the image. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'll come to my curves adjustment layer in Capture One. Yes, I'll come to my curves adjustment layer, and I'll just come to my red, and for my reds I'll just create an S curve and just bring the shadows of this one down like this a little bit, and bring it up a little bit like this. And for my greens, I'll do the same thing. I'll create an S curve, I'll bring it down a little bit, and I'll bring this one up a little bit like this to create an S curve. And for the blues, I'll do the same thing. I'll take this part up, and I'll take this shadows area down like this to compensate. So that's what we've done so far. This is where we started from, and this is where we are right now. You can see I've added a little bit of colors to this image. So next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to come to my color tab right here, and I'm just going to come to my color editor, and I'm just going to come to my skin tone. So once I come to my skin tone, let me just zoom in a little bit so I can see the skin tone for this image, which skin tone I want. So for this second, I'm just going to make the skin tone a little bit dark. So once I come to my skin tone right here, I'll pick my picker, color picker tool, and just click on any part of the skin. I feel I want the skin to look like this part right here, so I'll just click on it, and after that I'll just make sure this smoothness is all the way down, and just push this part right here inside a little bit like this. But I don't want it to affect the reds on the shirt, because skin tone consists of reds and yellow. So if I don't bring this part up, it's going to affect the reds on the shirt. So after doing that, I'm just going to come to my saturation. I just reduce the saturation of the skin tone, so you can see the skin tone is looking a little bit dark, which I really want. So this is how it was before, and this is how it is. So I like this color of the skin like this, and I'm just going to add a little bit of light to the skin. So just bring it a little bit up like this, so I add a bit of shine to the skin. And for the hue and saturation, I'll just play with the hue and saturation and see. So after that, next thing I'm going to be doing right now, I'm going to be working on the white balance of this image, because I feel the image is looking too cool. So just come to my white balance and add a little bit of warmth. So I can just pick this picker tool right here and click on white on the image to adjust the white balance, but right now I feel the image is looking too warm, so I'm just going to bring it down manually like this. So I think I like the white balance like this. So these are before, these are after, before, after, before, after. So I like the way the image is looking warm like this. So after I finish everything in Capture One, I'm just going to crop this image right now. So I'll come to my crop tool, and remember I always use 4:5 to crop my image. So click on 4:5 if you want to post on Instagram, and just crop your image 4:5. So I like it like this. I'm going to click on enter, and I like the way this image is looking like this now. So let's see our overall before and after. This is where we started from in Capture One, and this is where we are right now, and I like it like this. So I'm just going to open this image in Photoshop right now, and to do that, just come here and click on the image right here, right click and click on edit with Photoshop, and this image is going to open in Photoshop. So now that we're in Photoshop, the first thing I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to duplicate my layer by clicking on Ctrl J to duplicate my background layer. So after that, I'm just going to zoom in this image and see how sharp it is. So I feel the image is looking good. So I'm just going to remove the blemishes right now. Then to remove the blemishes, I just create a new empty layer and just rename it blemishes so you can understand this video. And I'm going to be using my healing brush tool, not my spot healing brush tool. I'm going to be using my healing brush tool. So just click on my healing brush tool, and make sure my hardness is set to 100, and sample is checked, and my sample is on correct and below, and just zoom in and just increase my brush size by clicking on the square bracket key and click on alternate to sample and click. Once I sample, I'll just paint over the blemishes like that, sample and paint, sample and paint like that. So these are before and these are after. So that's how you remove blemishes, sample and paint. Make sure you decrease and increase your brush size according to the place you want to remove, like that. And mind you, you can use your spot healing brush tool, but the reason why I don't like using spot healing brush tool is because Photoshop will automatically sample a place and fill it for me, which I don't want. I like having control over my image, so that's why I'm manually using this spot healing brush tool, because I can manually sample from a close by area and paint. I don't want Photoshop to sample for me and help me paint on the place. So I can just sample by myself and paint, sample by myself and paint, sample by myself and paint, like that. Okay, now that I've gotten rid of the blemishes, you can see our before and after. These are before and these are after. So the next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm going to run my focus separation action. And if you don't have this Retouching Academy, I have a video on how you can create your own focus separation from scratch. So just stick to the end of this video and go and watch that video, or click on this card showing up here so that you can watch that video and learn how to create your own focus separation action from scratch. So I'll just click on my focus separation via Gaussian blur right now. And since this image is a full body shot and it does not have more texture on the image, I'm just going to be using this 6.4 right here, because the image doesn't have a lot of textures. If I just use a smaller radius, the image is going to be too smooth. So I'm just going to be using I think 6 is okay. I'll be using 6 for this image so that I can be able to have some bit of texture on the image, because this image doesn't have a lot of texture. So once I pick my radius of 6, I'm just going to click on OK. And I'm just going to zoom in and make sure I'm on my corrective tone, and pick my mixer brush tool. With my mixer brush tool, make sure this place is unchecked, and make sure your wedge is on 10. Make sure your load is on 75 is okay, but I'm going to be using 30. Make sure your mix is on 20, and make sure your flow is on 30 or 20. So just use any settings that work for you, and make sure sample all layer is checked, because if you not check sample all layer and you just brush, nothing is going to happen, like nothing is going to work. So make sure sample all layer is checked. So once sample all layer is checked, just turn off this your high texture copy. So turn it off and you're going to get a blurry looking image like this. And right now just use a mixer brush to brush on the skin. And if you are brushing, brush your highlight separately and brush your shadow separately, and brush according to the shape of your model skin. So I'm just going to be brushing this image right now, and I'm brushing this image highlight separately. I'm brushing the shadow separately, and I'm just brushing according to the shape of this model. So just take your time to brush and practice always. Me, I'm still practicing. I'm not perfect with it. Sometimes I make mistake, and that's the good thing about this focus separation action, because if you feel you make mistake, you can always erase it. But right now I feel this image is okay like this, so I'm just going to continue with what I was doing. So I'll finish using my mixer brush to even out the colors on the skin. So let's say before and after. These are before and these are after. These are before and these are after. So next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to apply my portraiture filter. So I'll just merge this corrective tone and low frequency tone together by clicking on Control and clicking on this low frequency and press Ctrl E to merge. Once I merge them, I'll come to my filter, I'll come to my Imagonic, and I'll click on portraiture. And if you don't have this portraiture, skip this step. You don't need it, it's not important, but I have it and that's why I'm using it. So I'm just going to click on the skin and click on OK. And it's going to apply this portraiture filter for me, and you can see how the image is looking right now. So this is before portraiture and this is after portraiture. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing for this image, I'm just going to be doing dodge and burn for this image. And to do my dodge and burn, I'll just come to my Retouching Academy again, click on dodge and burn curves. And once I click on dodge and burn curves, I'll just delete my visual aid. I really don't need it. And just first of all, come to my dodge, pick my normal brush tool, I'll just zoom in on the face and make sure my foreground color is on white, and make sure my opacity is 100 and my flow is on 100. So I'll just for my dodge, I want to make the highlights a little bit shiny, so I think I'll just draw a little bit of lines on the highlights like this, because I want them to look shiny like this. And I'll do the same thing for here, and I think there's a bit of highlights here. And to see your highlight and your shadows, just turn off your focus separation and you're going to see how the image was originally. So I'm not going to be putting artificial highlights or artificial shadows, so I'm just going to be watching where there's highlights already and burning where there's shadows already. So I feel there's a little bit of highlights right here, so I'm just going to be dodging it, and I feel there's a little bit of highlights here as well, so I'm just going to be dodging it. So for the shadows, I'll just go to my burn and just paint a little bit of the shadows like this to add that dimensions to the image. So I just brush a little bit of the shadows like this, and after that, after doing all this, I'll just come to my properties and come to my feather and just move the feather inside like this. And you can see what's happening. If I bring it all the way back, just look at the highlights, and if I take it all the way in, you can see it's feathering, and I think I like it like this. And for the shadows, I'll do the same thing. I'll just feather it like this to make it look a little bit darker like this. I think I like it like this. And mind you, you can as well paint on the highlights the usual way, but I don't like it like that. I like doing it like this. So I'll just turn on my focus separation back on. So let's see our before our dodge and burn and after our dodge and burn, before and after. You can see I've added that 3D dimension to the face. The next thing I'm going to do right now, I think I'm just going to reduce opacity because I feel it's too much. So I'll just reduce the opacity a bit, and I think like this is okay. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'll create another dodge and burn layer. So once I create another dodge and burn layer, I'll delete my visual aid, I'll turn off my focus separation. This time what I want to do, I want to dodge and burn the skin as well, because I feel there's a part of the skin that are light and some part of the skin that are dark. So I just come to my dodge, pick my normal brush tool, make sure your soft round brush is selected, and I'm just going to brush on the highlights which I'm seeing on the skin, part of the skin on the image. So I'm just going to brush a little bit of highlights right here, and don't worry, I'm going to reduce opacity later. I'll do the same thing here, and I'll do the same thing here and here and here. I'll do the same thing here and here, and I'll do the same thing for here and here as well. And for the burn, I'm just going to burn here a little bit. I'll burn here a little bit. I'll burn this part. I'll burn this part. I'll burn this part, and I'll burn this part, and I'll burn this part. So after that, I'm just going to feather it. So I'm just going to feather it until I feel it's okay, and I'll do the same thing for this dodge. I'm just going to feather it until I feel it's okay. Now let's see our before and after, and I'm going to turn on my focus separation back. So these are before and these are after. These are before and these are after. You can see the image is looking better right now. So next I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to whiten the eyes and the teeth. So I already created an action for that, so I just come to my action and click on eyes and teeth whitening action, and just make sure my foreground color is on white, and just paint on the eyes. So I'm just going to zoom in and paint on the eyes like this. And I'll do the same thing for the teeth as well, like this. And after that, I'll just come to my blur, come to Gaussian blur, and just use a radius of about 1 or 2 to blur it. I think 1.4 is okay, so I just click on it. And after that, I'll just reduce the opacity because I don't want it to be too much. Next I'm going to do right now, I'll come to my adjustment layer, I'll click on my brightness adjustment layer and just increase the brightness. And after I increase the brightness, I'm just going to invert it and use my white brush to paint on the cash light on the eyes. Remember, I'm not painting on the black, I'm just painting on only the cash light on the eyes. So this is the before and this is the after. So next I'm going to be doing for this image right now is the color grading. And the first thing I'm going to be doing for this image, I'm going to add contrast to this image. So I'll come to my adjustment layer, I'll add contrast to this image using my curve. So I'll just click on curves and create an S curve to add contrast to this image like this. So this is the before and this is the after. This is the before and this is the after. So I like it like this. So I'm just going to create a stamp visible layer by clicking on Control Shift Alternate E. Now everything I just did has been opened in a new layer for me. So I'm just going to group everything I did below so that the layer will not be too many. So let me just show you where we started from and where we are right now. This is where we started from in Photoshop, and this is where we are right now. So next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to open this image in Camera Raw, and to do that, I'll make sure my subject layer is selected, come to filter and convert to smart filter and click on OK. So the reason why I convert it to smart filter so that I can go back to Camera Raw and adjust any color grading I did in Camera Raw. So I'm just going to come to filter again, click on Camera Raw filter. So once on my Camera Raw filter like this, I'm just going to come to my color mixer. So for the oranges, which is the skin tone, let me just play with it and see which one works for this image. So I think I'm just going to take it up a bit. I think +3 is okay. And for the yellows, I'll just play with the yellows as well and see which one works better. I think I'm just going to bring the yellows towards the orange side like this, and let's see for the greens if there's any green in the image. Okay, I feel there's no green in the image, but if there's green, I'm just going to take it down a little bit like this, and I'm sure there is blue in the image, so I'm just going to take the blues towards the cyans like this. And for the magentas, I think I'm just going to take the magentas towards the blue side like this. Okay, I like it like this. And next I'm going to do right now, I'll come to my color grading and I'll come to my shadows. I just add a little bit of cyans to the shadows, but right now I feel it's too much. So since it's too much right here, I'm not going to do it right here, I'm going to do it in Photoshop. So what I'm going to be doing in Camera Raw, I'll just come again to my curves. So for my curves, I'll come to my reds, and if I take my reds all the way up, I'm adding reds. If I take it all the way down, I'm adding blues or cyans. So I'm just going to create an S curve for the red, green and blue. So I'll click on the shadow and I'll take it down a little bit, and I'll click on the highlights, I'll take it up a little bit like this to create an S curve. And for the green, for the green, I'll create another S curve. I'll add greens to the highlights like this, and I'll add magentas to the shadows like this. You can see it's compensating for the one I did before, so I just add a little bit of magentas to the shadows like this. And for the blues, I'll just add yellows to the shadows and blues to the highlights. So I'll take the blues on the highlights up like this, and add yellows to the shadows area like this. So let's see where we started from. These are before camera raw, and this is after camera raw. So I think I'm liking this image like this, and I think the next time I'm going to be doing in camera raw, I'll just come to my calibration, and for my calibration I'll just move my tint towards the magenta side, and for my red primary, the hue, I'll move it towards the orange side, and for my green I'll move it towards the yellow side, and for my blues I'll move it towards the cyan side like this. And I'll just play with the saturation. I think for the green saturation, I'll take it to increase the saturation. I think like this is okay. And for the red primary, let me increase saturation and see. Okay, I just decrease the saturation of the red primary a little bit like this. I like it like this. Why for the blue primary, let me add saturation and see. I think I'm just going to add a little bit of saturation like this. So these are before and these are after, and these are after. These are before and these are after. So I think I like it like this. So I'm just going to click on OK. So back to Photoshop. Let's see what we've done in camera raw. So these are after camera, these are before camera raw, and this is after camera raw. And if you feel the effect, you can just come to your opacity and reduce the opacity. But I think I'm just going to reduce the opacity down to minus 90. And 90 is okay. So right now, next I'm going to do, I'll just come to my adjustment layer, I'll come to my color balance, and for my shadows, I'll just add blue to my shadows a little bit like this, and I'll come to my highlights. For my highlights, I'll just add yellows to my highlights to compensate for the blues which I added earlier to the shadows. And let's see our before and after. These are before and these are after. So I think I'm liking this color grading like this, but I just want to add a little bit of warm feel to the whole of the image. So I'll just come to my photo filter and just add that warm feel to the whole of the image. So I'm just going to choose which one I want. I think this first one is okay. Let me just increase the intensity and see. I think this first one is okay. I like it like this. So these are before and this is after. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to go back to camera raw. So I'll just double click on my camera raw filter like this. So once my camera raw filter like this, I'll just come to my basic and just reduce the highlights. Let me see, and just take the highlights down a little bit like this. And now I think I like the image like this, and open up my shadows a bit, and I'm just going to click on OK. Yeah, now I like the image like this. So the last thing I'm going to do for this image, I'm just going to add sharpen to the image a little bit and add nuance to the image. So I'll just come to my Retouching Academy and I'll click on sharpen right here to add a little bit of sharpness to the image. And after that, I can see it's too sharp right now, obviously, so I'll just reduce the opacity like this, and I'm just going to add noise to the image. To add noise, all you have to do is create a new empty layer. You come to your edit and you come to fill, and you fill with 15% gray and click on OK, and come to filter, you come to noise, you come to add noise, and just use a radius of about 12 and make sure your Gaussian is checked and click on OK, and just change your blend mode to soft light and reduce the opacity of the noise because you don't want it to be too much. So let me just zoom in so you can see the before and after. So this is before the noise and this is after the noise, just a subtle difference. So guys, let's see our overall before and after. So this is where we started from and this is where we are right now. This is where we started from and this is where we are right now. So I hope you like this video and I hope you learned something for this video. If you do, leave a like so you can see this video and learn from this video. And if you want to learn how to retouch beauty headshots, just click on this video showing your screen right now. I'll see you guys in my next video. Stay creative.